If you've been telling yourself that you just have low self-esteem, that you're too needy, too sensitive, too attached, and too insecure, I want you to know that these are very common things people feel after they've been in a relationship where there was emotional abuse. When I got out of my marriage, I 100% felt this way and thought, you know what? It's just low self-esteem. It makes sense. I was in this kind of relationship where my needs were not met and I was criticized, so I just have to work on my self-esteem. But I want you to pause here for a moment with me and just take a deep breath in. What if that's actually not true? What if you don't have low self-esteem at all? What if you're still in survival mode? And what if, up until now, your body has been trying to protect you, not sabotage you? Let's get into the 11 signs of survival mode. Sign number 1. You over-explain yourself. You just don't say what you feel. You explain why you feel it. And when you explain it, you soften it, you justify it, you make sure that it makes sense to them. Even after you've said it all, it still doesn't feel like it was enough. And you leave that altercation feeling shame and guilt. It's not because you feel like you were unclear. It's because your nervous system is becoming dysregulated in that moment. Because in the past, when something was happening within your relationship, the explanation never felt good enough for the other person, and there was consequences to that. So therefore, in this moment, your nervous system is trying to prevent conflict. It's still living in the past of that previous relationship. Sign number 2, you constantly apologize. You say sorry even before you know you did anything wrong. This is a common one I see among my clients and something that I had to unlearn how to do on my road to recovery. Here are some examples. Sorry, I made you feel this way. Or sorry, I'm taking up too much of your time. As you hear it, let me know in the comments what you feel in your body down below. You use apologies to stay connected because that's what made you avoid conflict in the previous relationship. You tried to avoid rocking the boat because there wasn't any point. The other person wasn't going to see your way. So the fastest way to smooth things out was just to apologize. Sign number 3. You second guess simple decisions. This is a big one for my clients, and it was a big one for me as well. When you're in this state, it's hard to make decisions because you're afraid that you may choose wrong. It's almost like one foot of you is still living in the past and one foot is living in the present, and they don't know which part to trust. When making a decision, you replay what you said, you question what you did, and you wonder if you handled it wrong. Even small things don't feel like they're settled, and you worry about the consequences. This is because you stopped trusting your own read on situations because of past experiences where you may have been gaslit, manipulated, and shamed for having a voice. Sign number 4. You feel guilty for having needs. As I say that out loud, it just brings me tremendous sadness because I think many of us walk around feeling this way. And again, I'm one of those people who had to do a lot of unlearning. This was a big unlearning for me. There's a hesitation to ask for what you need. And when you do ask for what you need, you worry about it being too much or too big. You minimize your needs, you hesitate, you may take back the request, or you talk yourself out of it. There's a part of you that feels like you are undeserving of having your needs met because previously they weren't. And that led to disappointment. So having control over not sharing your needs felt safer. And it continues to feel safer to avoid disappointment. Sign number 5, you confuse anxiety with intuition. Something feels intense and your brain goes, this must mean something. There's urgency, there's a pull, there's a need to figure something out. But it's really important to take a pause. Nervous system dysregulation can be disguised in many ways. This could be your nervous system going into a fight or flight stance versus your intuition telling you something important. And it actually can be both as well. Both systems talk to one another, but we have to understand which system is doing the pulling right now. Take a breath, evaluate the situation, notice what you're feeling in your body, and then make a decision. Sign number 6, you chase closure. You want the explanation, the conversation, the moment where it all clicks. And I can say most of us do. Of course we do. Why not? We deserve that. However, if you're constantly fixating on that closure or needing that closure, we need to step back and evaluate. You think, if I just understand, I'll feel better. But even when you get the answers, it still doesn't settle because your body is really good at distracting itself. And when you're fixating on needing that closure, guess what it's distracting you from? Yourself. It's a lot easier to chase something that you may never get than to focus on looking at yourself. Sign number 7, you defend the person that hurt you. Even when you know what happened, you still explain it and fill in the blanks. They didn't mean it. They have their own history of trauma. They've been through a lot. And there's a part of you that holds that perspective while you dismiss your own experience. When I talk to clients about that, sometimes they say things like, I'm a very empathetic person. Absolutely, you can be very empathetic and also recognize that this person caused you harm. If we want to go a step further, we can also look at the fact that this is a grown person who did this damage. Having trauma in your past doesn't mean that you're allowed to go and hurt other people. I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself, which part of me defends that person still? And what do I need to do to help that part heal? We're almost halfway through the signs. Before we move further, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cassandra Mullick. I'm a therapist and a coach, and this channel is all about healing after emotionally abusive relationships. I'm so glad that you're here. All right, let's continue. Sign number 8, you feel small around strong personalities. You notice yourself shift. You become quieter, more agreeable, more careful, and you wonder why you do this. Well, your nervous system is going to a state called fawning, where in order to not become victimized, we just become more agreeable. We do what the perpetrator wants. And strong personalities resemble people from our past who may have hurt us. So it makes complete sense that your system wants to keep you safe. Sign number 9, you feel like you're too much. When you do react to something, it feels like a problem. You often label yourself as being too emotional, too sensitive, or too intense. So you start to edit yourself. You hold back, you start to tone down. And it's not because you actually are too much. I want to reassure you of that. It's because you were in spaces that couldn't meet you where you were at and validate and celebrate who you are as a person. So you start to dim yourself down because you fear the disappointment of someone criticizing you for just being you. So it feels safer to dim your light. Sign number 10, you struggle to feel calm love. Let's say that you get into a new relationship and things feel steady. It feels unfamiliar. There's no highs, there's no lows, no anxiety, no chasing, there's reliability, and there's consistency. But you notice instead of feeling safe, something feels off. And honestly, it's because your nervous system is not used to the stability. So you may poke the bear. You may start a fight. You may do something out of character, even though this is something that you really, really want. You're used to the chaos. And that doesn't mean that your nervous system cannot rewire. It absolutely can. But again, it's one of those moments where you need to just notice what you're feeling in your body and understand the motivation behind your behavior. Healthy relationships are boring. You were taught that chaos, ups and downs in a relationship supported connection. Sign number 11, you blame yourself automatically. Something happens and your immediate response is, what did I do? Looking for your role and your mistake in whatever happened. And you do this before even asking if the situation was mitigated or if it turned out okay, even though something went wrong. Why do we do this? Because it was much easier to take the blame than try to hold the other person accountable, because you knew that that person wouldn't take accountability. Those are the 11 signs. but there's more that I want to go over. The first is low self-esteem is an identity label. Survival mode is a nervous system state. One shames you, the other explains you. Healing doesn't happen through labeling yourself. It happens through nervous system rewiring, which leads to regulation of your system. We want to teach our bodies that we're safe now and we don't have to go into a nervous system state. We can have choices around how we choose to proceed in various situations. If you've stayed this long in the video, I want to thank you. This is the work, learning about yourself. If you want more support on how to rewire your system, you can check out the link in the description below. We've gone through some heavy material today, so I just want to take a moment. If you can, put your hand on your chest and take a slow breath in. And as you exhale, quietly say, "My body was protecting me." Ready? We're going to do it together. Deep breath in. My body was protecting me. I just want you to give yourself a moment to just take that in. And when you're ready to continue on your journey, you can check out this video up here.